with great preparation also then comes a success, for everything. And that's across life. It's like if you decide to do something or you want to achieve something, preparing for that eventual happening is actually what's going to make sure you succeed. So it's not about just spontaneity and just getting up and just going, because you need to understand what's it going to take, what are the risks, how do I overcome those things. All of that is preparation for then the success.
Wow. DL always hits us with those really good intro videos like that. Bazoma St. John saying preparation is everything, J-Mac.
Right.
It's all about, man.
First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody that's here. We do this every and Thursday, 11 a.m. We try to empower and inform people. It's the She's the Boss Black Women CEO Development Series. Learn how to go from a self-employed business owner to a CEO of your own company. Plus your chance to win $20,000 in advertising on 97.9 The Box. And today we have a special guest, Justin. You want to tell them about the special guest? I can't wait, because this person right here, I have worked for this person. This is a great CEO and a great business owner. It's Felicia Drake of Grooves.
There we go. And look at that. And I don't know if you're all right. You let me know if we're okay, sort of disclosing your location, because sometimes we got the 007 kind of thing going here.
Well, everybody knows her location, because every time I talk to her, she's on vacation. Ever since I've known her.
That's what we call work hard, play hard, huh?
This is it for me, because I don't do all the fun stuff that I see going on in my venue. I don't do any of the drinking. I don't do any of the party. So come Sunday night, Monday, that's my weekend, and that's when I get going. Yeah.
Good for you, and it's well deserved. I mean, especially after 2020, which was just it's funny. I'm not sure if you could see. Could you see the intro video there, Ms. Bazoma St. John from Netflix? I mean, with her talking about preparation and how important preparation is, and the thing that I've told so many people about 2020 with COVID, often I was able to sort of look back and go, okay, what happened historically that I can study or look at and say, okay, this is the blueprint for this. This is the way they handled this type of thing would have happened. I couldn't find anything. I mean, what did you look to pull some of the wisdom, I guess, or kind of a roadmap for navigating through 2020?
Yeah, well, none of us could have been prepared for what we got. That's for sure. But the thing was just adapting. We had to figure out ways to adapt. And while we're so more well known for our nightlife, we had to become more known for our food. And so we are allowing restaurants to open. So for us, we were actually already under the umbrella of a restaurant. We were classified as such. So we didn't have to go through the leaps, the hurdles that other people had to go through to just be open. So what we did was we tried to expand our food, and started with our Saturday brunch. And, that was one of the things that helped us move along. But then, they opened us back up to like 50%, then 75%, and they shut us right back down. So we just had to keep adapting as best we could. We tried to do some of the, orders to go and the liquor to go and, all of that. Yeah. But for us, people know us as nightlife, our happy hours and all that kind of good things. So trying to adapt from that was a real challenge.
Yeah, and the evolution of a business is not, as you know, because you've been, how many years now? 10?
10 years. We just hit 10 years this month. Yeah.
Okay. So, Harvey, obviously a bunch of other natural disasters, these types of things, and things that just in general have impacted the city of Houston, have impacted the community. And so you're right there in the middle of it all. I love your Instagram, or excuse me, title, which is Overseer. I don't know if you know that, but somebody's got you on LinkedIn as the Overseer, which I think is really proper for today's discussion, because we're talking about CEOs. And one of the discussions we've had is that there's a lack of Black women in the CEO position in this country. So we've got COOs and CMOs and chief human resources officers and things like that. But that one chief, the one that's making that final decision, is we're sort of lacking that, despite the fact that we believe that there's a lot of Black women who are prepared for the role. As a chief decision maker for your organization, an overseer, what are some of the criteria that you evaluate? As you're thinking through that process of like, okay, I'm making the final decision here for a lot of employees and a community that's expecting for me to come through as a business the way I have for a decade now.
So I make my decisions on probably a few things because our business is such a people business. We are very diverse in it. It's going to start with safety, making sure that whatever it is that we're doing, we can keep everybody safe. Now with COVID, that took it to a totally different level.
Yeah.
When it comes to just making the best decisions for business, I do get a lot of feedback. I listen to my staff. I listen to people that are out there that know more than I know, because I'm kind of like a hermit, although that's kind of oxymoronic. I'm in this business, but I'm super introverted and I keep to myself. Even here in the Bahamas, I'm here alone, and this is times that I love and treasure because it's just kind of who I am. So I look to other people for some wisdom, for information, because they're the ones that are out there and can tell me, what people are looking to. And then we'll go from there. Some things I'll say, well, no, that's a little bit out there for us. And just trying to stay, consistent for what people know and expect of Groove. So as long as it doesn't go far outside of what we've done, then I'm usually pretty open to what other people are suggesting for us.
That's good. That's good. In your past, what would you say would have been maybe some of the things historically that you had done that prepared you for some of this, or some of the experience you've had, or some of the people you've been around that prepared you for some of the decisions you've had to make, the role over the last 10 years?
Being thrown in the fire every time.
Yeah.
So you mentioned early on, you were speaking about, going to school for certain things, business school or whatever. All those things are probably great to an extent, but there's you look at things in theory, and then there are, there's in practice. And all I really know is in practice, because you can talk about things and you can say, in school you learn certain things or people will tell you certain things, but until you're in the fire and you get that experience, you really don't know. So I've had to go through it, and not just through it in that, learning how to navigate through this type of industry, learning how to navigate through it with it being a male dominated industry, learning how to navigate through it when your family has turned their back on you. It's just been from year to year, it's never been a time where I'm not learning. So the learning is evolutionary. It doesn't stop. I can never say I know it all. Only thing I know is to keep going, no matter what.
Yeah. There's a saying that, I can only dream as far as I can see. And once I get there, I can see further.
Right.
And I think of that because in the way that what you just said, it's like, sure, everything in theory. But once you get out there and actually really do it, now you really get to see what your options are and whether they're few or many. And sometimes, people are frozen with that, thought process. In Domino's, we say, think long, think wrong. And so, how do you make sure that you're making decisions timely? I mean, when you've really got to move quickly.
Oh, Lord.
And make a decision quickly. I know you said you go out there and you asking other people for advice and you're getting feedback and stuff, but how do you know when you're making a decision too slow or not making it quick enough?
Well, I'm going to be more on the slow side in almost every case, because I think things through, and I don't make any decision hastily, and so my staff is like, Felicia, we need to know, Felicia, are we doing this? So I'm just not a person that moves very fast, in that I just don't want to make unnecessary mistakes. And that's, if I can mitigate that by moving just a little bit slower, I will. So I just spend the time and I'll research things. I'll put my staff on making sure that certain decisions I'm looking towards, hey guys, let's look into this. Let's make sure that this is a good decision or good move for us. And we'll talk about it. And I don't really make any decisions without any other input from the rest of it. Even down to like my mother and my uncle and all the people that are helping me in the business. I don't make too many decisions on my own.
That's good. Yeah, I tell people a lot, I don't want to be right. I want to be rich. And sometimes, it's like the thought that it's nothing but ego or hubris, that makes me think, oh yeah, I've got all the answers. I go to other folks and go, what do you think? And ultimately, I'm a little bit probably like Obama, and I'm gonna get this person's opinion, this person's opinion, this person's opinion, and then ultimately, I'm gonna make the decision from our organization. But I was sort of taught to do that. I had some mentors that I watched, and I wouldn't even call them mentors because they weren't really like, hey, would you be my mentor? We shook hands and agreed that they were going to do that. But I watched people talk about maybe some of the people that you watched, and you don't have to name them or anything, but maybe some of the lessons you learned, some of the women of color that were making decisions. Ultimately, I think that it's tough for us sometimes because I mean, you may, and I don't know this, but you may be the highest level achiever in your circle, and sometimes we don't necessarily have that person who's gone way beyond, what we even envision for ourselves, and we can watch them and then aspire to be that. So you're really taking the best you can. So from what you got. So who are maybe some of the lessons of some of the people that women that you watched and followed?
That's a challenge for me to determine who the women might be. But honestly, one of the biggest examples for me is a hometown girl, Beyonce. When I see that one, when I see her work ethic, her strive for excellence in everything that she does, I think that, of course, she's considerably younger than me, but she is a true example of what I think any woman boss could be, should be. Her life and lifestyle is one to look towards when you're striving for excellence. Outside of that, honestly, when it comes to my industry, there's a man that I think that was probably one of the first that I looked at and thought, okay, I like the way that this, and believe it or not, it's Marcus Davis over at the Breakfast Club. Over at the Breakfast Club, come out and touch his guests, say hello, speak to everyone, make sure everybody's good. And so I try to do that. I can only do it to a certain extent because it gets, to be so many people and so loud that it's really, but I love to have those little interactions when we have brunch before it gets, and that's an example of one of the changes in the industries, because now, like, see, for example, brunch, we would have brunch and we'd come in, sit down, light music. Now they want to party even during brunch. So everything is evolving into something different, and we just have to kind of go with the flow. But I would watch Marcus and I'd say, I really appreciate his style of management and what he's done and how he touches his guests. And I think that's very, very important. And it's for people to be able to touch you, to reach you, to speak to you directly. It seems to make such all the difference how they feel about your business. So he was one of the good examples. And of course, that Beyonce, as far as the business and her mindset and her level of excellence, is one that really stands out. It may be cliche, but she does stand out for me
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, and sometimes we have such a difficult time giving people their roses while they're here. And let's just face it. I mean, she deserves her roses now.
Not just being a Beyonce fan. It's not even that. It's just to look at her work ethic and to see, how she has run her business and how she has this perfectionist mindset. And those of us I have it as well, but obviously it's something that you'll never attain, but you strive for it.
Yeah, she's a great example. Marcus and I met as roommates. We were roommates on Blodgett, and
Okay.
and he's always had that way with people. Marcus is one of those guys that he's always been able to just really talk to anybody, and but I think he's taken it to a whole new level with the Breakfast Club, and he really, let's face it, I mean, people come in to Houston from outside of the state, outside the country, they go to Breakfast Club, and it's just one of those spots, and a lot of that is because of the way he's impacted it. One of the things that I've heard in many situations, and I'm gonna go a little bit into the women situation. It is Women's History Month, and I was raised by my mom, single mother, and I watched her through various challenges and things that she faced in, let's face it, a pretty much male-dominated world. She was born in 1947, so things are a little bit different. Her early years, professional years, whatever. But it seemed that women sort of got this rap as being a little bit more emotional or being more feeling-based instead of more logic-based. I don't think that's true. I think that there's certainly a lot of condemnation that comes in women's direction wrongfully, saying, oh, okay, well, that you were being emotional. And I think that they worried about women going into the boardroom with emotion. emotion is nothing but energy and passion and, fire. And we look at the really, really successful business owners. Elon Musk is emotional and passionate and fire, and that's why Tesla is what it is today. He's passionate about his own brand. How have you been impacted by that? Or, for instance, where, if at all, where people are kind of like, can a woman make these types of big decisions or whatever? And is she coming from logic or is she coming from emotion or whatever? And do you even address it or what?
I haven't really had to address it, but the position I'm in at Grooves is I am the decision maker. I am the if you're coming to me for whatever it is to sell me on, convince me on, or whatever the case may be, ultimately I'm still, I haven't had to have that kind of interaction with anybody like business wise. Now, people that are kind of in my inner circle, that's a little bit closer to me, I may get some type of feedback like that, and to tell me as a woman, I'm being emotional, or I think that's I am a crier. Let me just say that. Let me put that out there. I cry, but it's never really about something that has happened in the business. But I may cry, and only people very, very close to me can see that. And I may have had one person in my time frame there that might throw that in my face. But this same individual was the type of person or type of man that his anger would come out and would show. So I'm like, that emotion also. If you're running around here cussing and fussing and talking to people crazy, it's no different, or actually I think it's worse than me with my tears, sometimes. But I'm gonna go back in my office and cry about something. But when I come out, you won't know the difference. So I don't walk around with emotion on my sleeve. Most people know it. I'm fairly straight faced, other than being in a good happy place. Now they do know when things are right. They see it in my face too. But it's foolish to make a decision about a woman based on the fact that somebody's trying to stereotype her as too emotional. That's just what it is, because I've seen men far more emotional. I said, listen, I've worked with so many men in this business, especially in the beginning, like with the promoters and all the people that I've had to deal with, and to see the kind of, just the last week when we had the baby in there, I mean, he was in there with all kind of emotion because, again, safety is my top priority. So we have to pat down, we have to search everybody that comes through that building. And they were frustrated because they just felt like that people should just walk in. So he came out and kind of had a big, almost hissy fit behind the fact that we were searching everybody, and that's for their protection, our protection, and it's just required. So to see that kind of emotion, as opposed to me like breaking down crying or something, I'm just like, it's all emotion, and you can't operate without it. But to frame us as women as emotional beings, and we can't run or manage things because we may be dealing with our emotions is foolish.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Well, the majority of our managers at our law firm are women, and a lot of women of color, and we're primarily led by women. I personally don't care if somebody's, cries or, all I want is for people to improve. That's it. That's all we're looking for. And really just like, and I look for people that I could, sort of put my daughters in front of and say, there's an example, of how you lead. Because let's face it, there's a sort of a lack of women that other young women can look at for that type of impression. What are your hopes, I guess, for the future as you look out on the landscape? And I hesitate to ask this because I get the sense that you and I are a lot alike. Like, I tend to really sort of look at my own business because that's my number one priority. And I've got a lot of people that I've got, that I work with that are relying on me to make good decisions, and David to make good decisions, for the company. But as you look out at the landscape, what are some of your hopes for women, and what would you like for younger women to be able to see in the leadership roles, I guess, particularly in this country, but also in Houston and Texas?
That one is, I really would like to see women step up and be strong women and look beyond just the superficial, whatever it is with their bodies and their looks. And although, those are great and that's important to a degree, but to have, to really go out there and do more. And what I've noticed that is that over time, back when I was younger and in high school and in college, there were certain things that were taboo. So things like stripping, that was taboo. It's not that people didn't do it or women didn't do it. It's just that we didn't know about it. Selling or doing drugs, that was taboo. And then, if you did it, it was something you did, behind the scenes. So now everything is just out there. Everything is. And so I just would like to see women just come up a bit to where, that doesn't have to be their leading or their guiding force, is that, their body or their look, just learn something. I would like to see the women learn some things and to build, not to say that, those things that they take the pride in can't help push them up to another level, but that can't be the only thing. It can't be the primary thing, and see what you can do more with your life. One of the things that my staff knows about me is like, we have our brunch, and I'm like, and I think I posted this not too long the other day, is with the women and the twerking and during the brunch and all of these types of things. And I'm just thinking, there's a time and a place for everything, and it's not, sometimes you have to take a little bit of a step back and just not put it all out there. That's what I'm kind of seeing now. There's nothing that is under the table anymore. It's all just out there for everybody to see every time, anytime.
Now, and J Mac, I mean, you've obviously seen this. Like this, it's a big old school. There's old school, and then there's new school. Sort of what's accepted now. So like you're saying, Felicia, I want to say Miss Drake.
That was Felicia.
Okay. But it's like you're saying, that sort of that old school. And one of the things you wrestle with is like, okay, when do you say, okay, hey, look, some of this new school stuff is okay, because of the social media thing. But I guess there's a line of professionalism that, where that the money that really starts to speak differently when you've crossed that line. And so, I mean, you'll deal with it at the station, I'm sure. That's an important point that you're making, Felicia. I guess we're going to deal with it. It's in the videos. It's out there, like at the parties. And now, I guess it's fine. I mean, what time's brunch now? Is brunch still 11 to say 2 or 3?
Oh no, we're there. Ours is 11 to 5, and then we extend to a day party if we don't have anything else, a school event going on. But we've had to adjust. That my business I may have a vision. I may have something I want to go a particular way, but then it takes of its own. And so you have to adjust, you have to maneuver, you have to say, okay, this is what the people want. And in order to stay relevant, to stay alive in business, you have to adjust and say, okay, give them what they want. I may be back there like, oh my God, but we give them what they want.
Yeah, I'd kind of go, okay, look, if twerking's happening before, say 11:30, somewhere in that ballpark, like it's a little too early.
We push it to 4:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, but I'm go out there. I'm not saying anything nobody doesn't already know, but I'm not a twerker. I've never attempted to twerk, but let's just say dancing. I don't know if I could get my body to even move that much before noon. I guess if I had a mimosa in me, I probably could.
They come.
In terms of business relationships, as a woman, in the role you're in, with a lot of, let's face it, a lot of power, a lot of ability to spend with vendors and business partners, things like that, and sort of things coming and going. What kind of rules do you have for as a woman as it relates to business relationships out there and growing your business, but in a sort of ethical or whatever type of way?
I don't have any rules. If it's something that doesn't work for us or is inappropriate or something I don't like, I just won't do it. There's not a rule for it.
Yeah.
It's just whatever I think at the time. Probably in the beginning, there was a little bit more I'm people that may have tried to hit on me and things like that. And even if it is the case now, I'm so into, I'm literally Pierce and Gray Street. I'm on that block. I don't do much else. If anybody sees me elsewhere, it's a shot. So I don't get a lot of people that even really have an opportunity to get to me that way. So like now I have the staff that I need. They handle most of the people until I have to see them. So I don't have to the access to me is not the same as it used to be, and I just don't have to deal with all of the kind of crazy stuff that I had to do before. And if something does come to me that I don't like or it doesn't fit us, then of course it's a no, or I will put it to someone else to handle that's in the organization.
Great, great, great. And I guess sort of final question for me is, obviously we're in a world where the easiest thing to do is just imitate someone else. So in the development of a business, or, business growth and evolution and things like that, obviously some of the things you could do, the folks across the street, they're doing it too, or these people have a new marketing idea and go, that's interesting. And where's your thought process as you get into sort of new ideas and innovating in your business? How much do you look at what the competitors are doing, or do you trust your gut and go, no, we come up with something that's uniquely us as we develop our business?
I try really hard to stay focused on us. My staff and folks that are around me that tell you that it's not, I really don't have a desire to copy what others are doing. Obviously, you have to know what your competition is doing, but you always to still be who you are. And we built a brand for Grooves, and what I try to focus on is making sure that we can satisfy our guests. That's all that's important to us. Whereas some of the other venues may not have the same type of ideas in that regard. They're the most important thing there. So all of our plans and everything that we do has to do with making sure that our guest is happy and taken care of. And as far as competition goes, obviously we see it all. There's a lot of it, but still, I think we just kind of built our staple, Grooves as a staple in the community, just kind of staying focused on Grooves. And we look around. We don't just look into Houston, though. We look all over the place, and we try to take a look and see what others are doing. But in the times that I do that is generally I'm looking elsewhere. I'm looking outside of Houston. I'm looking at Miami. I'm looking at Atlanta. I'm looking to see what's going on in these other places. And then, we just try to see what, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll take a look at it and try to see what we can implement there, or some version of it that fits for Grooves and for the city of Houston.
That's fantastic. Yeah, getting stuck in that box, that sort of your local box is problematic, I think, for everybody. We do the same thing. I mean, I'll Google sometimes, truck wreck lawyers, car wreck lawyers in New York or North Carolina or Miami or Atlanta, and just try to get an idea of sort of what some of these other firms are doing, maybe LA, because a lot of the ideas, let's face it, they come from East Coast, West Coast, and sort of make their way to us, here in the South, Gulf Coast and all that. So it's good to look out there. I'll tell you, I could talk to you. I could keep going and going, but I know you've got some sunshine out there. My hope is that we'll be able to get you back if we do this again, and maybe get some more of your insights. Because let's face it, there's a lot of things that you clearly know. I love your confidence, and it didn't take me long to figure out that you sort of say, okay, look, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to question areas where I don't, but in the areas I know what I'm doing, I'm doing it. And
I don't know what I'm doing.
It sure seems like it.
I don't know. I didn't look to this. I didn't. It was never a desire. I never thought about being in this type of industry or business. I marketing company before Grooves, and when I tell my story, people know that when this opportunity dropped in my lap, literally that, and it was strictly an opportunity. And when the opportunity, just being an entrepreneurial woman, and I just took the opportunity and ran with it. And that's really all I could do. And to say that I've been here this long is amazing, because I was the type of person that went to bed at 9:30. Nobody would think I'd be in this type of business. But if I could say, I guess anything that could help anybody is that, you take advantage of the opportunities that come your way, and take that and run with it. As far as you can go with it. And here we are 10 years down the line with an opportunity that was given to me. And it's been a struggle. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I don't want anybody to ever think that business is easy. And even when you're making millions and all that, it never gets easy.
No, it doesn't. And especially once you get to the point where you love the people you're working with, because I don't look at it and say, this is about me and it's about my check. This is about everybody's ability to pay off debt, finance future education of their children, take care of their parents, whatever, and so I look at it through that lens. And so I've taken on that challenge, I think probably a lot more over the last year, because I'm going, okay, how do we make sure we're taking care of all these folks, through this pandemic? So
that's been a driving force for me in the 10 years that I've been there. And I look
Yeah.
at it probably at any given time, I may have about 75 to 85 people on payroll. Now, it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like that for us to be open primarily 2 days a week with the exception of special events and occasions. But my driving force was always the people that depended on me. And
Yeah.
even pandemic and having to shut down, and as we got that the one shutdown with TABC, which was I was like, hey, come on now, of all the things we've done in 10 years, this is what we got to get pressed on. And like
Yeah.
so even when they came in there, it wasn't a valid suspension. We were not over capacity, but even then, you get people saying just shut them down, shut them down. It's not,
It's only
it
people.
really isn't that simple. Oh, hey, J Mac. So it wasn't that simple. And for me, it was looking at all the people that work for me, that depend on that check, even if it's just that part-time check, that adds up week to week. That may be paying a car note, a portion of the rent of all, if not all of it,
Yeah.
So I think about them, and that is 100% what drives me to make sure that I keep going.
Yeah. And I think you get to a certain point, if when, as a leader, where there's very few of those. Personally, there's very few of those I'm $30 short days
Mm-hmm.
or $25 short or $100 short days, but I live those, you
Yeah.
know, much of my life. And I've really tried not to forget it, the importance of not being $100 short, because you're $100 short on rent, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so, we've tried to approach things that way. And, but I think your gems, the things that you're able to share, are important. And I'm hoping that we can continue this. And, usually when we start something with radio station, we try to continue it, maybe try to do something every year. So, and maybe next year we do something a little bit more where we bring people in and maybe we spend, like a workshop, and we let, have you do maybe a workshop with some ladies or whatever, and they can ask some questions, because certainly I wasn't able to come up with those. I'll say this to you real quick. I when we started this, had this idea for this program, I said, okay, well, sure, I'll have some answers to this. Uh, I'll be intelligently speaking about, the issues that women are facing, the challenges that they're facing. Was I wrong? And it was humbling. Like the first 3 or 4 days, like talking to Keitra and talking to my wife and talking to the other women around and thinking, okay, well, I know what I'm talking about. Man, I didn't know. So I'm just like, and a couple of the guys around me, we were walking on eggshells, like, okay, can we say this? Can we not say this? And the women were like, you don't need to walk on eggshells. And I've realized that one of the reasons that we need more women's voices in the boardrooms and in the leadership roles is not so that we can all agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's so that we got different voices of disagreement, because that's how we make better decisions. And once that hit me, I said, no, this ain't about us all getting along. It's really because if you had 2 people, 3 people, 5 people in the boardroom and all of them agreed, you probably don't have the right people in the room.
Right. Exactly.
You need some disagreement to sort of, conflict your way to a better outcome. And I realized that that's really what it's all about. So I don't mind us fussing at each other or disagreeing, you seeing it one way and me seeing another. So it was one of my epiphanies, with this, and I'm glad I did it because it's opened my eyes and I think will make me a better leader. But I'd love to have you back and would love to do something with you guys. And I talked to your folks who are also very professional. We were doing this, saying we're going to get I Just Got Hit over there for a brunch real soon. As soon as we get everybody either masked up or vaccinated or whatever it is they're going to do, we'll be over there. We'll make sure we support. So thank you for joining us.
I would love to have you. J Mac, you haven't been by in a while. Shame.
I'm
Come on,
gonna
man.
come through.
What's that?
I said,
He's
I'm gonna come through this week.
I surely hope so. Those are some of the big changes that we've had to try to adjust and go through. Like we were on the radio every single week back in the beginning, up till probably about the 8th year.
Yeah.
It's so many things have changed, and budgets have gone this way and that way. But J Mac used to be with us almost every week with our
I remember. Yeah, broadcasting live, doing all kinds of stuff. Well, look, enjoy yourself, be safe out there, and enjoy some of that relaxation, and come back with some brilliant ideas, because we need them.
I'm certainly going to give it a try. Do my best. Thank
All right, you be good. It's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you.
you.
All right.
All right.
J Mac. Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you, You know, it's no wonder she's in the role she's in. And you listen to that, man, and you go, okay, things are coming at her 100 miles an hour. She's taking that information, she's processing it, making decisions, and she's sustaining. You know what I mean? Sustaining wins, dog. And that's such a difficult thing to do when you think about some of the ladies out there that are just trying to get off the ground, bro, with what they're doing. You know, if they can soak up more of that, they can get there. You know, we can get there.
Right. I mean, ever since I've known her, she's been strategic. I always had a plan, I always had a vision, and I always was willing to see through her vision. And you got to have that, because sometimes life will try to stop you. People will try to stop you. Like she said, your family, your friends, they will try to stop you. So
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, all you have is you and the belief that it's going to happen and to keep moving.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. That was inspiring. Well, brother, I appreciate you, man. I
All
really
right.
thank you for joining us today. And I know we had to do some moving things around. I hope things are going well. Somebody we're both thinking about. And, you know, handle business, man. We'll see you soon, I'm sure.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for empowering the community.
We're trying, brother. That's all we could do, baby. Like you and I say, what good are we if we don't share the good we got?
Yes. Bye.
All right, man. Take care.